We're here in Tennessee, coming to McKays. First time ever going to McKays. Headed in to see what all the talk is about. You coming with me? Welcome into Cheap Ass Movie Reviews. I'm Eric Stafford. As I was showing you at the beginning of the video, at the tease, we went to McKays. Now, my family recently took a trip to Knoxville, Tennessee. There is a McKays in our own state of North Carolina in Winston-Salem, but I have not been there. And a friend, I'd seen another video, I'd seen Mark Horror talk about going to McKays in Chattanooga and also in Knoxville, and we were touring in Knoxville, and I happened to see the sign. I knew I wanted to go there and took the time. It was fabulous. It was probably just overwhelming. I did not go through the entire store. I know me and my son were there for 2 hours at least, and just looking at stuff, I tried to go through what I could. They have, when you walk through the store immediately, there's the registers, but then there's also, and it's kind of like Sam's. You like have to pack your own stuff. You have to bring your own bags and stuff. There was boxes that were sitting there, and we used one of those. But they do have shopping carts. It is 2 floors, so there was an elevator. When we got in there, the immediate thing was they had some cheap graphic novels right down the line, and I was like, man, I got to get into that. There was some cheap Blu-rays and DVDs sitting up front that they were trying to get rid of. I guess they got just way too many copies of those particular films, and went straight to those. And these are some of the picks. Overall, we'll talk about price and everything. Prices were pretty good. First up, I saw another Wolf Cop, and I have not seen this. I saw the first one, and it's kind of, sometimes it's hard to find on Blu-ray on Amazon. So I was like, it was $2, $1.95. $1.95. Had to get it. The one Terminator movie I don't have is the one that everybody kind of complains about, but it's not that bad. I remember seeing it in the theater. And it's Terminator 3, but didn't have that one in my collection. $1.95. Can't beat that. For $3.95, they had Justice League Dark, which is probably John Constantine's one of my favorites. And so really wanted to have like this particular movie. Got home, checked my CLZ movie collectors, and guess what? I already had it. I don't usually do that. I usually kind of know, but I must have been wanting to pick this up and then picked it up and totally forgot about it. Another great deal, and I know some of you guys are horror collectors or movie collectors, and you're thinking, I don't buy DVD anymore. I don't buy DVD. I buy 4K, I buy Blu-ray. I have a Blu-ray player that upgrades, and it upgrades enough for me to where, I mean, if you're streaming movies, it's actually less, most of the time, it's less quality than a DVD. You don't realize it, but it really is that. You know, some of them are 4K, some of them are a little fancier, but I still pick up DVDs because if I want it in my collection and I haven't gotten it in my collection, that's a cheap way of doing it, and you've at least got the movie in your collection if anything happens. But I picked up the first 4 Freddy Krueger movies, and I just haven't ever put down for the Blu-rays. So anyway, picked up the first 4 Freddy movies, and you know, they're fun, they're crazy, they're wacky. This next thing just really got me. These came out a while back, and I just, you know, I was just like, no, it was too much money. But at McKays, with the used prices, I went straight to the science fiction section and found the Blu-ray steel cases of the Star Wars films. Now, I know they're out on 4K, so don't start on that. I know they're out on 4K. I already had some of these on Blu-ray. I did not have the prequel trilogy, I'll tell you that. But one thing I did not know is if you flip around, it has the poster art. I just thought it had the close-ups. But inside it's got the close-up. But you can see it's the 20th Century Fox Lucasfilm Blu-ray that's in there. So, you know, if you want to be traditional, That's before Disney got it. But anyway, picked up all 6 of them. We got Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, Revenge of the Sith, A New Hope, or as I call it, Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. One of these was $7.93. Another one was $10.93, I think. The rest were all $14 to $15. And for that, I'll go ahead and get them. Do they have little scuffs? Maybe just a little, not a whole lot. But somebody had gently used them, and they were at McKays, and I could not stand it. I had to get it. Also, I'm just big on Star Wars right now. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I just always have been. But when you walked into this particular McKays, they had a line of cheap graphic novels, and it was the new Marvel stuff that they've been doing. I picked up Vader Down, $2. Star Wars Book 2, which is $2. Princess Leia, $2. Upstairs they had a graphic novel section that I thought was really cool. Let's get to something else. Let's kind of switch gears for just a second and go to toys. They had toys. I didn't think they would have toys. They had toys, they had instruments, they had electronics, they had all kinds of board games, they had all kinds of puzzles, they had Funko Pops, they had everything. I was really stunned at all the stuff they had, and we didn't even go to the back to the books and start going through the books. My wife looked at some of the books at the front, but we didn't even go to the back and look through the books. They had albums. There was like LP albums for $1. And, you know, it probably was like music to read by, but, you know, they had them. They had them. They were there. And, but they had toys. My son picked up some toys, but I picked up 3 Doctor Who's. And we have the 3rd Doctor, John Pertwee, the 5th Doctor, Peter Davison, and the 6th Doctor, Colin Baker. And all 3 of these were from I guess a 7-figure set, or maybe it was a 12-figure set, maybe 10, 11, might have been 11 or 12 figure set. So it was a special set. You couldn't just like get these. You can't get Colin Baker in this outfit. You had to buy that set, and this was the outfit he wore in most episodes. This is the outfit that John Pertwee's known for, and I have a Peter Davison, but he came with a stupid Panama hat and the celery on him. So this is him. But anyway, these, as you can see, $4.95. $4.95 at McKays. $4.95 each. And if you've ever bought any of these Doctor Who figures, they start at like 12. I mean, you're lucky. Now, of course, they didn't have Tom Baker, which I would love to have. I will be putting these. I had bought a TARDIS with Peter Davison, and I will be putting these individually at different times in the TARDIS whenever I change up my shelf or change my display a little bit, that I like to have my shelf porn going. But when I saw the Doctor Who figures, I'm like, I gotta get that. I gotta get that. That's just the way it is. Went upstairs to the graphic novels. Me and my son, they had manga, and the manga was picked over, and the manga was overpriced. So don't plan on buying manga there. Not unless you want to pay full price or a little more, because they had like Akira Book 2, and it was $26, and on Amazon it's $21. So it's up to you. It's right there if you want to pay the $4 more. But you know, I don't know why they were that way with manga. My son's big into Attack on Titan. They didn't have hardly any of that. I like My Hero Academia. They didn't have hardly any of that, and they were overpriced. So buy that stuff. Mass quantity books like that, you might go ahead and get online, Amazon or someplace. But there you go. But did go and look through the used graphic novels and found Marvel Man. Now, Marvel Man was actually Miracle Man in the 80s, but originally he was called Marvel Man. Marvel bought him back, and now he is Marvel Man. But it's an original graphic novel of the stuff from the 50s. What had happened was when... This is a long story, so get ready. In the 50s, DC sued Fawcett, who are the publishers of Shazam, that we all know and love, Captain Marvel. And Captain Marvel was very popular here. It was very popular in England. And in England, when they sued them, they had to stop publication. And so in England, they just said, hey, we'll make our own guy. So he's the same, almost identical to Shazam, except he says atomic backwards, which is Kimota. And he is a totally different character. And then Alan Moore revamped him in the 80s, and he became really famous. Neil Gaiman did a great series about him, or Gaiman, and he did a series about him, and which was in dispute for a long time, and those original issues are incredibly expensive. Now Marvel's kind of like reprinted those, so it's not quite so bad. But a lot of great people worked on it. Alan Moore, Alan Davis, a lot of great of the British creators. But he was basically the British version of Shazam, and he was just a fun, hokey kind of guy. And but these are printed. This book, this hardback, is printed the way the others were, and it's on newsprint, but they're in black and white, and that's the way they came out in England. And I just thought it was really neat, and that was only like $3, I think. But a little history of Marvel Man, if you go back. One of my favorite cartoonists that I look at his artwork and I'm always amazed is Bob Fingerman. And Bob Fingerman does a book called Minimum Wage. He's done it it's kind of his autobiographical book, and he's done it a lot for a long time. I have never seen one in the wild ever. And they had book 1, and they had Minimum Wage book 2. And they have adult themes to it. It's like slice of life stuff, but with adult themes. It's like him and his wife, and sometimes they talk about sex, sometimes they have sex. But, you know, real people do. So there you go. But anyway, pick those up. I think both of those were like $6 each. Now, we were in Knoxville, Tennessee. And Tennessee is a state that has just banned mouse. But I found an Art Spiegelman book. They had an Art Spiegelman book about his early work, which includes the first run he did at Mouse, or however you want to say it, where the Jews are portrayed as mice, and the Nazis are portrayed as cats, and the Poles are portrayed as pigs, which I think is like hilarious. But anyway, this is some of his underground stuff. It does have some adult content to it, but it's called Breakdowns, Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man. And anyway, one thing about Art Spiegelman is I don't know if you've ever seen Raw Magazine, and I was exposed to Raw Magazine in the early 80s, about the same time that Alan Moore was doing Marvel Man. But I was just, saw it in a comic shop and was just freaking out over the printing process, how well it's printed, and then also on top of it, it had just great concepts, but adult concepts. And but anyway, Art Spiegelman and his wife Francois are both like art directors in New York. Art Spiegelman had worked for Topps trading cards for a good part of his life, and had done stuff with them. Then he did Mouse and did it as a graphic novel, and it came out and won the Pulitzer Prize. So there you go, won the Pulitzer Prize. But it's recently been banned from a elementary school in Tennessee. So, you know. But here in my local area, I picked up Mouse 1 and 2. It's a 2-part thing. And I picked up 1 and 2 at a local bookstore, like way cheap, because somebody in our town's teaching it as a college course. And so everywhere you go, you can just about find it. One store had like 20 copies of the first book. And you could just find it, you know. And that was a dollar bookstore, and they had 20 of them. Then I went back to get one, and of course somebody had bought them all. And then I found them at a Goodwill store. But anyway, I found both of them, both issues. But Art Spiegelman, I mean, these are expensive books. This stuff's expensive. Usually this one is $30. I got it for $20. So they did have, I know you guys, the last thing I talked about was getting an EC book set. And they did have Frontline Combat, the box set from of Cochran, from EC's Cochran, well, Cochran's reprints of EC's Frontline Combat, which has a lot of Harvey Kurtzman stuff in it, and layouts and such. And they had it for $150, but it was very yellowed, looked a little rough. And I know $150 wasn't that bad, because most of those Cochran book sets start at $300. But I left it sitting. I was like, not to be. It's a little it's a little yellow, just a little wore. I was like, I'm gonna let that one pass by. But overall, McKays, oh my God. If I get a chance to go to the one in Winston, we'll talk about the one in Winston. I hope to go where I can spend more time. I spent 2 hours there, and I could have spent 6 to 8, and just walking around looking at stuff. But it was fabulous. It was good for cheap buys, and just, I don't know. If you can't find something in McKays, then you're not looking, because it was fabulous. But that's all. I just kind of wanted to go to that store. I'd seen Mark O'Hara go there. I'd heard that one of my other friends that I like to watch is Cody at H&S Collectibles, and he had gone to the one in Knoxville, I believe. But any chance I get to go to one now, I will go. I will go. Anytime I'm in Knoxville, I hope to go to that one. I'd like to go to the one in Winston-Salem here in North Carolina, and then report back to you guys. But it's just a haul video. It's a McKays haul video, and it was just super cool. If you get the chance, go to Knoxville, go to McKays. You'll have a great time. Plan a day around it. I swear to God, plan a day around it. You'll have a great time. If you like this content and you want to see more of it, all you got to do is hit like and subscribe. You can hit the little buttons down there. If you want to follow me on any of the other media, you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on Facebook. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, especially if you watched all the way to this, because it's basically just me ranting about McKays. But really great store, something you're going to enjoy, especially if you're a movie collector. Great stuff, great stuff. Thanks, and have a blessed day.